He's our tech guru. He's a man who has very spiritual and has studied many spiritual paths, and he's going to share some of that this morning. Chris Barnett.
First, out of respect for everyone, I'm setting a timer, so because I could be up here all day. Well, good morning and namaste. Thanks once again to UUCH and this congregation for the opportunity to present to you today. It's always a joy and an honor to be amongst you all. Today we're going to discuss the topic of Omnism. A topic that's dear to my heart, and a practice that I personally believe in and follow, something that you may already be familiar with or you may not. It's very similar to Unitarian Universalism, and we'll touch on that here in a little bit. So let's dig in. First, let's try to define the term itself, Omnism. Well, our good buddies at Merriam-Webster Dictionary and other sources originally defined Omnism as the respect for or belief in all religions. Those who hold this belief are called omnists. It's a very generic definition, and one that is essentially true, but doesn't quite hit the mark, so to speak. In recent years, the term has been resurfacing due to the interest in modern-day self-described omnists who have rediscovered and begun to redefine the term. Today, the term more accurately refers to the belief that within every religion, there is some incorporation of basic core truths. An omnist does not simply accept every tenet and every belief found in every religion. That would be very difficult to do, and in many instances would simply be far too contradictory. Omnists actually look for the commonalities between religions and the commonly shared beliefs within each. The omnist approach is not something that new, even though the term may seem new to many. Throughout time, individuals and groups have taken similar approaches and have formed belief systems based on the combination of religions or the beliefs therein. Omnism, in a sense, is similar to what was referred to as syncretism, which is the belief in a fusion of faiths in harmony. It can also be seen as a way to accept the existence of various religions without believing in all that they profess to teach. Many omnists say that all religions contain truths, but that no one religion offers all the truth. One example of syncretism, syncretism has been around for a long time, can be seen with Henry Stubb and other Socinians, I'll never say that word right, who synthesized a form of Mohammedan Christianity by blending Islam and Christianity. Secondly, we can take a look at some misconceptions regarding omnism. That old definition says that omnists believe in all religions. Well, that's a bit too generic, as I mentioned, and not exactly true. There are so many contradictions between various religions that believing in every religion simply doesn't make sense. For example, if you believe, as the Christians do, that Jesus is the Son of God and the prophesied Messiah, then you are clearly in conflict with the Jewish belief that Jesus is not the Son of God or Messiah. Another conflicting issue or detail, if you will, is, well, conflicting is not quite the right word, but potentially contradictory, is the belief in a supreme being, an all-powerful entity that created the universe and resides over us, controlling our destiny and watching what we do. Many variations of a supreme being exist amongst the religions, and every one of them, or at least all the religions that I've studied so far, have some version of an all-powerful entity. Some religions, like Hindu, for example, though, have multiple gods to represent and in some way control the various facets of existence and of nature. Clearly, on the surface, contradictory by the individual definitions, but could there be a common realization, if you will, that there is some form of overall divine spirit that in some way is part of life and potentially supportive of the successful present and future of mankind? Maybe. Of course, proving this existence of a supreme being or even promoting a belief in one is not really part of our discussion today, but I think you can see the point. And as you can imagine, we could spend days going through the multitude of differences between religions. But in Omnism, the point is really to focus on the commonalities that exist. So what are some commonalities? A great example can be seen in the very foyer of our church. There is a poster by the kitchen that shows various forms of the Golden Rule. Essentially, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The poster shows multiple religions over time have crafted their own version of this basic principle. Okay, lost my spot. The thing I find interesting is that the various religions appear to have come up with essentially the same principle, apparently on their own and at different times in history. Now, there may be some plagiarism going on between the religions there, but I really don't know that, and it certainly doesn't look that way. But I think you can see the point of the example. There's a commonality amongst the religions for this particular rule as an example. Okay, contemporary usage of the term omnism. Contemporary usage has modified, like I said, the belief in all religions to refer more to an acceptance of the legitimacy of all religions, a tolerance and respect, if you will, of the various approaches of faith. The Oxford English Dictionary elaborates further that an omnist believes in a single transcendent purpose or cause uniting all things or people. Omnists interpret this to mean that all religions contain varying elements of the common truth that leads to this transcendent purpose. That omnists are open to potential truths that can also help support this transcendent purpose or cause. For me personally, I think the transcendent purpose or cause is the unification of humanity and the prospering of humanity for our future, brighter, bigger future. Well, some of you may be thinking, wow, Omnism sounds like Unitarian Universalism. And yes, I would agree, it does indeed. A great example of the omnis approach can be found in those very principles of the UUCH which Kathy shared for us. The UU principles clearly illustrate an omnis approach. And I'll kind of go through them piecemeal here, and I'll paraphrase. Kathy gave us the nice formal full versions, but I'll kind of shorten it up here. Number one, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Now, this one is interesting. Omnists do, in fact, believe that this is true, right? And it can be found in multitudes of religions. But I like to illustrate this one to show some of the differences that exist in other religions, and almost every religion. The fundamental thing, the negative aspect I have found in a lot of religions throughout the world is intolerance. This number one principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, clearly is tolerance of all. But if you look closely at each religion, they're not tolerant of other religions or other people who do not follow the rules, the moral codes, the rituals, the dogma that they have established as their framework. So an omnist would not take this intolerance as being a fundamental approach and would definitely disagree with principle number 1. Justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Number 2. Certainly very much an omnist belief. But justice, equity, and compassion have been defined by many religions based on their moral code and based on their rules and also based on their intolerance. So from the omnist approach and the Unitarian approach, we mean this to mean everyone, falling back to principle number 1. Acceptance of one another, encouragement of spiritual growth. Again, an expression of tolerance, acceptance of everyone. And also, I like the encouragement of spiritual growth. The exploration of our own internal spirit and divine spirit and its connection to all of us, I think is fundamentally something that every human should do. A free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And there we go. That's exactly what I was just saying. The exploration of truth. Looking for common truths within the individual religions, the spiritual faiths, can help us to garner a better understanding of humanity itself and our future. The right of conscience and the use of the democratic process. Democratic process, love it. I think it is certainly something we should all do. But I like the right of conscience also. Understanding what is good and what is bad. What is right and what is wrong. Moral codes. Looking within each religion, the moral codes are clearly there. They're defined. They're expressed to us within those faiths. They also have little edges to them that we should be conscious of. Some of those moral codes define rules for intolerance. We should not necessarily take those on. Number 6, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Again, the expression of all of humanity. Us bringing together a world community in unity. Again, Unitarianism. Peace, liberty, and justice for all. Beautiful words and something we should certainly aspire to. We should also be very careful to define what those liberties are and justice is without falling back to those moral codes that can express intolerance. And respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are part. Yes, very much so. We are all part of an interdependent web. We are all part of humanity. We are one. And our second song will express that for us. Now, if we look back at some historical references, we can look back to Edward Herbert, the first Baron of Herbert of Cherbury, who was considered the first deist. He argued that all religions were true. In the poems, All Religions Are One, William Blake professed that every religion originated from God's revelation. And as we've spoken of multiple times now, Unitarian Universalism, which I understand historically grew out of the Protestant Reformation, practices omnist beliefs. And other notable interfaith organizations include the Church for the Fellowship of All Peoples, the Parliament of the World's Religions, which was the first organization with the goal to unite all religions. Now I'm just going to reference a few notable omnists, people that you may know of or not know of, or not realize that they were in fact omnists. First is Philip James Bailey, who first coined the term omnism or omnist. He clearly was an omnist. Ellen Burstyn, who affiliates herself with all religions, having stated that she is a spirited opening to the truth that lives in all of these religions. John Coltrane, after a self-described religious experience that helped him kick his heroin and alcohol addictions, he became more deeply spiritual, later stating, "I believe in all religions." Kyrie Irving, who stated that he is an omnist in response to condemnation of his promotion of the documentary Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. Chris Martin, who referred to himself as an all-theist, a term of his own coining referring to Omnism. And a very popular person that is very famous for his professional basketball career, Shaquille O'Neal, who identifies himself as every religion, since he doesn't want to exclude or alienate others of different faiths. He has stated that you're going to believe what you believe. The Muslim religion and all these religions have been around for thousands and thousands of years. So who am I to say, hey, don't do this and don't do that? You believe what you believe. Respect what they respect. And respect that person as a man or a woman, and you'll make it far in life. The fact is, I'm Muslim, I'm Jewish, I'm Buddhist, I'm everybody, because I'm a people person. I kind of like that. And in my studies, as some of you may know, I'm a member of the Rosicrucian Order, and we study, which is a humanitarian philosophical order. We study pretty much all religions, all spiritual faiths, and spiritual paths, and mystical laws, natural laws. We really study as much as we possibly can to kind of glean out the important truths, the fundamental realities that, even though some could argue that they may not be absolutely true or not true, but it really is searching for that fundamental truth. It's really digging in, understanding, exploring the history, exploring the sacred texts, exploring all of the historical documents and books and studies that have been done over centuries. One of my favorites is looking back to the Zoroastrian religion. Their fundamental principles are good thoughts, good words, good deeds. Sounds great on the surface. It's when the individual religions try to define what is a good thought, what is a good deed, what is a good word, right? Good example is in history, the Christians have been claiming blasphemy if you even say a certain word. The Jewish faith has also done that in the past, a long time ago. If you said the word Jehovah, you would be stoned, as Monty Python told us in Life of Brian, right? So, good thoughts, good words, good deeds, it's a personal definition, right? We need to understand what we know is right or wrong and what is good and what's bad. Putting a code to it and saying, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to think. These are the words you're supposed to say. These are the deeds you're supposed to do. That's when we start getting into trouble and intolerance starts to filter in, right? So I encourage everyone to explore, learn, look, listen, pay attention to what others are saying, and then explore within. Find the truth for yourself. And I think once you do that, you may come to some better sense of inner peace.